Hi and welcome to my channel. You're probably new here, and if so, my name is Dr. Keneal Siegel, and I am a pelvic floor physical therapist. Today, I would like to talk about something that is genuinely one of the most overlooked conditions in pelvic health, and I think it's a very important one. It's smoking. If you are a smoker or you know someone or love someone who is a smoker, this is not the video that's going to bash you or shame you or make you feel bad for smoking. This is just providing information in a little more depth than is probably discussed by your doctor or your pelvic health provider. If you're thinking, I don't smoke and this isn't for me, just hang on and stick with me for a little bit because I'm going to discuss some things that maybe you did or did not know about your pelvic floor dysfunction. And some of these things might actually surprise you. I'm going to be talking about leaking, urgency, and pelvic pressure. And these are common things that women and men and children experience on a regular basis. So let's get right into it. First, let's talk about why this matters. Here's something wild and crazy that you may or may not have been told. Smokers are twice as likely to experience urinary incontinence than non-smokers. That's double. And this puts you at great risk of experiencing leaking when you sneeze, jump, laugh, cough. You get the idea. And yet, when was the last time you saw quit smoking campaign that mentioned your pelvic health? It's usually not combined. Most campaigns talk about your lungs, your heart, your skin. And yes, these are absolutely things to consider when you are a smoker, but we should also lump pelvic health into that as well because it is severely impacted. I want to walk you through exactly how smoking affects your pelvic health. And I mean the actual mechanisms, not just smoking is bad for you, don't do it. The actual mechanisms as to how and why smoking affects your pelvic health. At the end, I'm going to share something that I created specifically to help people quit smoking. And it's not just quit smoking, willpower, bust your way through it. This is going to be neurologically, scientifically backed techniques to help you quit smoking sooner rather than later. Let's get into what the pelvic floor is. Just real quick, a really quick summary, just to make sure that we're on the same page and you know exactly what I'm talking about when I refer to pelvic floor. So your pelvic floor is a group of muscles and connective tissues that sit at the base of your pelvis. Think of it like a hammock or a trampoline that spans from one sits bone to the other sits bone, from the front of the pubic bone to the back of the tailbone. And that hammock has lots of important jobs. It helps to hold up organs within your pelvic cavity, including your bladder, your uterus, and your bowels. It helps to control when you go to the bathroom so that you are continent ever since you were potty trained. And it also is involved in sexual function. It also works with your core and your diaphragm and deep abdominal and back muscles known as deep core muscles to help keep you stable throughout the day. So when your pelvic floor is compromised, whether it's weakened, irritated, or overworked, you will feel it. Sometimes you can feel it as leaking. It can feel like pressure. It could feel like a bubble or a ball sitting in the base of your perineum. Sometimes you can feel that as urgency, meaning you got to go right now. There's not really a lot of time in between the time when you feel that urgency and when you make it to the bathroom. You could also feel that as pressure or heaviness in your abdomen, in the perineum, or in your low back. Sometimes you could also feel pelvic floor dysfunction as pain. So those are just some different ways in which you might experience it. Now, here's the thing. Smoking affects the pelvic floor in multiple ways, not just one way. So let's go through some of the different ways in which smoking can actually affect your pelvic health. The first way is through the chronic cough problem. So this one is probably the most obvious if you think about it, but most people never really connect the dots. Smokers have that cough, that chronic smoker's cough. It's a lot. And this cough is persistent, it's deep, it is chronic, and it happens day after day, and it can go on for as long as you are smoking. Now, here's where it connects with pelvic health. Pelvic floor is, here's where it connects with pelvic health. Every single time that you cough, there is a spike, an increase in the amount of pressure you put in your abdomen and your pelvic floor. The pressure has nowhere else to go when it develops in the abdomen, and therefore it's going to go to the place where there is a hole, and that is your pelvic floor. It goes right to that area. So each time you're coughing, the pelvic floor is going to take the brunt of that force. Your pelvic floor is designed to handle some of that pressure. It's supposed to contract really quickly to counteract against the pressure to protect you from leaking or to stop you from leaking. But with chronic coughing multiple times over the course of the day, especially as it goes on for weeks and months and years, your muscles become fatigued over time. They become overworked and they become weak. And a weak pelvic floor can result in leaking. It can result in urgency. It could even put you at greater risk of developing what's called a pelvic organ prolapse. And that's when the organs of your pelvis, as I suggested before, the ones that are supported by your pelvic floor, your bladder, your uterus, your bowels, those might start to descend into the vaginal wall or fall into themselves. Chronic coughing is like doing jump squats every day, all the time, without any recovery. Eventually, your body is going to give out and your muscles are not going to be able to support you. The pelvic floor is the same way with chronic coughing. So it's not just annoying. It's not just annoying. It doesn't just sound terrible. It's not just affecting your lungs. It's affecting the muscles of your body, including your breathing muscles, but your pelvic floor muscles can take the brunt of that force as well. And that's often not very discussed when it comes to smoking. Another concern with smoking when it comes to pelvic health is the chemicals themselves, and this can lead to bladder irritation. So when tobacco or other chemicals that make up whatever it is that you're smoking end up in your bloodstream, they can end up in your bladder as well. Nicotine and other compounds that are found in cigarettes can act as bladder irritants, just as alcohol can act as bladder irritants, or chocolate for some people, or spicy foods. And nicotine and other compounds can act as irritants for your bladder. And this can cause what's called irritable bladder syndrome or interstitial cystitis. So these compounds and chemicals can irritate the lining of your bladder, and they can overstimulate the bladder muscles. The muscles don't like that irritation, so when they come in contact with these chemicals, the bladder is going to overreact and become hyperactive, and that can cause urgency sensation or the feeling of needing to go all the time, because the bladder is just trying to get rid of the irritants as quickly as possible. This is why people who smoke have significantly higher rates of overactive bladder or even urge incontinence, that sudden urge to have to go to the bathroom where they limit the amount of time between needing to go and actually making it to the bathroom. Your bladder is basically on high alert all the time, and this can be exhausting for your pelvic system in general. Now, the next reason I think people are aware of this when it comes to smoking. If you've ever been in an accident or you were going to require surgery, you've likely been told to cut back on caffeine and smoking. And this is because smoking, in addition to caffeine and maybe some other things as well, can slow down healing because of poor circulation. Smoking can damage your blood vessels and reduce blood flow just throughout your entire body. And your pelvic floor is part of that. So your blood flow may be reduced to your bladder and your pelvic floor. If you already experience pelvic floor dysfunction, smoking can increase your likelihood of further developing even more pelvic floor dysfunction. When your muscles don't get adequate blood flow, they don't heal very well. They don't stay as healthy. The tissues and the muscles suffer from the undernourishment of fluids and bloods and all the good stuff that causes healing to actually occur. Therefore, recovery tends to be a little bit slower. So even beyond the coughing, beyond the bladder irritation, smoking is quietly compromising the health of your pelvic tissues and all the tissues throughout your body at a cellular level. You're literally starving your cells of what it needs and slowing down the healing process. And the last way that I'll discuss today in which smoking affects your pelvic health is that you are more likely to develop chances of a prolapse. So remember, a prolapse is when the organs within the pelvis descend into the vaginal canal or they fall into each other. And this is because of research. So research has shown that smoking is significantly associated with severe pelvic organ prolapse. And this makes sense when you think about it. From the last discussion, we talked about how smoking affects your body at a cellular level and it slows down healing. Smoking affects your tissues, and the tissue that we're commonly thinking about when it comes to pelvic organ prolapse is collagen. And this connective tissue is a structural support, in addition to the muscles, to your organs in your pelvis. So when your connective tissues are weakened, maybe you already have chronic coughing, and now you're smoking on top of that, or you were already smoking on top of that, you're increasing your chances of developing a pelvic organ prolapse. So we have bladder irritation, which can lead to interstitial cystitis or overactive bladder, urge incontinence, stress incontinence, which is just leaking from pressure in general, such as coughing, laughing, or even sneezing. But now you're at greater risk of developing a pelvic organ prolapse because of the connective tissue. And because smoking delays healing, it's going to take longer for healing to occur. You can do all the exercises in the world. Quitting smoking is one of the best things that you can do for your pelvic health if you are a smoker. Now let's talk about the postpartum and the perimenopausal state. These are critical time periods in a woman's life where we're going through major transitions. I mean, as a woman, we're going through transitions on a weekly basis. We're a different person because our hormones fluctuate so significantly. During the postpartum and the perimenopausal stage, we're going through significant hormonal changes and shifts. If you're already smoking or you pick up smoking during this time, you're already complicating things a little bit more by smoking during this vulnerable state or phase in your life when so much is already happening. And this is especially true for individuals who were even smoking before or after pregnancy, as this can lead to complications with birth and even lactation. So those are just some of the reasons why smoking can affect your pelvic health and how they do so. But don't be discouraged. There is good news here. You see, the body is remarkably resilient. So when you quit smoking, your circulation will improve, your connective tissue will improve, your healing will improve, and you might notice changes within weeks. You'll notice the coughing starts to resolve, the bladder irritation might calm down a bit, and that gives and allows your pelvic floor time to actually recover. But this is especially important to pair and combine this with pelvic floor physical therapy or pelvic floor occupational therapy. That's a thing as well. So, as I said before, quitting smoking is one of the best things you can do for your pelvic health if you are a smoker. You can take all the supplements in the world, you can use all the fancy technology in the world, you can do all the exercises in the world, but quitting smoking is the first and best line of defense against pelvic floor dysfunction. Now, I get it. It's easier said than done. And I know if you're a chronic smoker, you've probably tried quitting multiple times without success. And this is because it's not a willpower problem, it's not a personality problem. It is a neurology problem. Willpower is just not enough for many people to quit smoking because smoking is wired into the brain. And in order to leave the habit of smoking behind, you literally need to rewire the brain, rewiring and repatterning the subconscious mind. And this can be done through a technique that I love to use with my patients and my clients, and that is hypnosis. I completed my training in hypnosis several years ago, and I've been using it prior to that and especially after that training because I find that repatterning the subconscious mind for pain, for behaviors, for habits is actually really great. And smoking is not that different in repatterning our brain because we're getting to the level of the subconscious mind. So willpower operates on the conscious mind, whereas your habits, which can be 95-ish% of your daily habits, is at the subconscious level. And hypnosis works at the subconscious level, which is why it's so great in helping patients to quit smoking, to eat differently, to develop new habits, because we're getting to the root cause and to the subconscious mind in order to change behavior. It's not magic and it's not mind control, and I promise you, no one's going to make you do anything crazy that you don't want to do. Hypnosis is simply focused relaxation, where your mind is open to new suggestions and new ways of thinking about yourself and new ways of making choices that are better for you and those around you. I created a quit smoking hypnosis for you to do at home and at your own pace as often as you'd like. It's designed to be very calming, very supportive, and actually effective. And as someone with a background in pelvic health and hypnosis, I figured why not combine the two and create this product, especially for audience who are struggling with pelvic floor dysfunction and who are smokers, as I said before, because it's not very focused on when it comes to seeking medical attention in that arena. Hopefully by now you understand that quitting is the most beneficial thing you can do for your pelvic health if you are indeed a smoker. If you would like to try my hypnosis, the link is below. I'd love for you to check it out and leave me some feedback to let me know what you think. So thank you for spending your time with me today. I hope I was able to give you something genuinely useful, whether this was for yourself or for someone else. And if this was for someone else, please feel free to share this video with them. Also, feel free to like this video and subscribe for when I put out new videos relating to pelvic health. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll read every single one of them, and I'd love to hear from you. Take good care of your pelvic floor. It's been carrying you for this whole time.